So, David, you have to repeat after me, okay?
Okay.
छत्तीसगढ़िया
Chhattisgarhia,
सबले बढ़िया.
Sabli Badia,
Okay, great. Can you pronounce my name? Himshika. Him?
Himshika.
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 Yes.
Himshika.
Yeah, so my name's David, and I was born in Australia, and now I've been living in India here in Mount Abu in the Brahma Kumari's ashram for since '95. I first came to Mount Abu in 1986 was the first time, and I came here after studying the first year of Raj Yoga in Australia, which I started in 1984. And when I started this meditation, I was in the mindset of, I was always thinking, why is it that how can you always be happy in relationships? And up to that point, I'd been in relationships and it was always okay for some time, but then there would be some dramas or some conflict, and I used to think in my mind, we must be able to be in harmony in relationships all the time, like happy all the time. And I didn't accept that the negative part was part of the original, our original state, original nature. And of course, I didn't have any examples of that either. So my friends at that time, because I was just 24, 26. From 24, I was travelling around Australia, and I went up in a place called the Kimberley. And the Kimberley is a very remote part of Australia. And I was very much interested in exploring and just going to places where very few people had been. So that was my interest, to go to some place where hardly anyone had been, because of the nature and the elements. And when I got an invitation to this place in the Kimberley, and that was like I'd had this dream of going to not just a place which was very isolated or like pristine in nature, but also my Logic work was actually a carpenter and joiner. So my dream was to build my own house straight out of the forest, from the forest, the trees. And when I got to this place, there was this beautiful freshwater spring coming out of the ground, running through this big valley with waterfalls and big natural rock pools, so beautiful natural swimming pools. And then I saw this forest which had all these trees, and I found a spot off the side of the cliff, and I thought, I saw straight away that this is where I'd build my house, from the side of the cliff. So I started building, I built my place out of trees from the forest off the cliff, and I lived in that place for nearly 1 year in that place. And it was like automatically, because it was just three of us people there at that time, but it was very, 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 very silent. So there was no engine, no motor cars. And in that 1 year, I stayed there for nearly 1 year. There was I had 10 visitors in that 1 year, just 10 people. So 4 boats arrived, because this place was only accessible by boats. But in that 1 year, I had many experiences and very profound experiences of myself and who I am, and my aim and object become clear from that experience, because it was like I realized from that experience how much you really need, because when I'd prepare my food and I'd cook with the open fire, and when I'd prepare the food and was eating, it was like I become just like one of the other animals in that area, in the sense of what you needed. You needed food, shelter, some water, very basic things. And my life become like that as well. So I go out getting collect firewood in the day to cook, get water from the spring in the buckets, and I built my house in about 1 week out of trees from the forest, because being a carpenter, I had that skill of building. So all that other time, I had the time of just being. And when I say being, it's the first time I experienced really what it was like to experience the state of just being, like just observing and being in the nature like that. And all of my past of growing up, and because my work ethic was, when I did my apprenticeship, was like you started at 7 o'clock in the morning, you had 10 minutes morning tea, 10 minutes afternoon tea, lunch, and finished at 4 o'clock. So that was what I knew of work. But in this place, there was no clock, no time. So it means you did things by the light of the day, the heat of the day, and there was no concept of clock time. It was just when you're hungry, you had to eat, and when you're tired, you sleep, like that. So it meant that was the first time I experienced that state of being. So that was already very liberating in the sense of it seemed more natural to be in that state. And of course, being in that environment too, it was like it very much brought you back to the present moment, because psychologically, if something happened, it was 2 days journey to the nearest village by boat, and that trip you can only do twice a month, according to the tides, the ocean tides. So if something happened, if you get bitten by a snake or some accident, Om Shanti. So it meant that psychologically you had to be very, very aware, very, very attentive at each step, because I didn't wear shoes at all. No, I like without shoes. We're born with shoes. You're born with shoes. Yeah. So it's natural to have with. So it meant you have to have extra attention, because going from rock to rock, walking, and because there's also snakes and all different types of animals, thistles and thorns and this type of thing. So, but that 1 year experience was, after that I got very inspired. I thought, this is good, but then I thought how to be amongst people and have this same state of being. Because when you're alone, it's easy now. If you go in front of people or being amongst people, then you have to adjust, accommodate to their samskaras, their habits, their mannerisms, and all that is different. Now everyone is different. So I was thinking, this is good, but to be amongst people and have this same state. So I come back into this village and I got very inspired to paint. So I end up painting my experience of that 1 year, and I had many experiences myself as this image of light in that place. And that was so special in the sense of, it was like the feeling that I was eternal, immortal, no beginning, no end, like that sort of feeling, the soul. And so when I'd come back into this small village, I got a job on a property outside the village along the beach, and a very small village of 4,000 people. And then I lived 15 kilometers down the beach on one property, and I built also a hut on that property, and I started painting my experience of that 1 year of myself as light. So all the pictures I painted with this image of light, this point of light. And after 1.5 years, one student of Raj Yoga used to visit that village every year for festival time. And when they come onto that property I was staying, they saw that pictures I was painting, and many of them had this image of light in it. So that Raj Yogi, he said, you know what you're painting. Do you know what you're painting? And of course I said I had experienced myself as light. He said, yeah, this is a picture of Atma, Paramatma, Parampita, soul and supreme soul as an image of light, point of light, energy. So I had the experience of that before I come in contact with Brahma Kumaris. So when I started hearing this knowledge, because he would come past every 3 or 4 days, and he dropped this correspondence. There was a correspondence course book of Raj Yoga. So he used to bring, there was 8 lessons, and every 2 or 3 days he'd come past and leave one more booklet of that lesson. So many of the things in this Raj Yoga I experienced in the forest 1.5 years before. So when I started this, it was already that, and of course it answered my questions of relationships and that of how you can always be happy and content and peaceful in relationships. It was in the knowledge also of that, and it was very clear to me then that yes, of course, when we're in that state of we're seeing everyone as souls, whether male or female, you're still seeing the soul, and you're enacting with everyone equally. Doesn't matter what color, what country, what caste or religion or whatever, you're seeing really in that state of soul conscious. Then of course the reality of that is there. So so I started practicing this from that time, from 84. And then I came to India the first time in 1986, not this campus, but the Panda Bhavan, the first campus. And then I started doing seva. So when I first came to Madhavan, the other campus, being carpenter, I was doing more carpentry then. So then I would help in the carpentry department doing some seva and then I started using more artwork then later, because I came actually here painting pictures of Shiv Baba, these points of light in the big halls, in the Shantivan, in the big diamond hall, in the Harmony hall here. These pictures are some of the ones I painted here also. So I started, and I was using a spray paint. So the spray paint airbrush was not so much used here in India at that time. So a lot of the Bharadwasis here, they liked that style with the spray paint and how you could render the colours. And so I used to stay extra 2 or 3 weeks. Every year when I'd come, I'd spend extra time here doing some seva. So then slowly, after 10, 12 years coming here, doing seva, then when GYAN SAROVAR started, I was helping set up the art department here in the beginning. So then I was connected with here, and then the brother who built this place, this was the first place here, he didn't want to stay alone, so he was looking for someone else he was happy to stay here as well. So I ended up staying here, so in the beginning. So, and this was perfect in the sense of, because doing music and things like this, I can play up here and not disturb anyone. This is the only accommodation this side of the property, and it's a bit away from everything, so it's like the blend of two things. Because when I had the experience in the forest, it was like I had this sort of vision of, wouldn't it be nice to be amongst everyone as a group? Like here, we run retreats every weekend, every 4 days there's a retreat here in GYAN SAROVAR, so it can be up to 400 people, 450 people, guests. I can retreat to this place because it's away from everything and there's a lot of silence and solitude here. And also, if I want to be amongst everything, I can be amongst everything, you know. So I have that choice of both things. So this place is perfect for that because it's away from everywhere else. And yeah, so that's how I ended up here in GYAN SAROVAR. Music, these are singing bowls. This is Tibetan singing bowls. So if you've seen these before, they use these up in the mountain area, and these are, especially when they're handmade, they're specially tuned by an artisan who, these are used in the Buddhist temples in the Himalayas, and they use it for chanting. You've heard the Om chanting. Probably you've heard Om chanting of the Buddhist monks. They use these, so this is like the Om sound. So you can hear that sound. That's like that's the deep sound, is like with the Om. And this has 2 notes. There's a high note as well. So these all have different tones and sounds. There's a big bowl, there's small. So they all have different tones, and they say with these, they're all on a different frequency. Actually, in the world of matter, everything is a vibrational frequency. So with these, sometimes they use these for healing as well. They have a certain vibration, certain thing. If it's something inside ourselves, sometimes that sound can be a soothing effect, calming effect. So that's singing bowls. This is another instrument. I got a very sore thumb at the moment, so I might be able to play this, but this is called a kalimba. And this is... this is a Native American spirit pipe. So this has a... So that's a native from North American. That's a spirit pipe. Huh? And this is a glockenspiel from Brazil. And these, these ones these are little bells. There are the temples, and this is the shank. You know the shank, of course. Sometime in the morning I play that. And there's other things as well. I have tambora. Huh? Yes. Yeah. So this is a picture of like 3 worlds: the physical world, the stars world, and soul world. They say the soul world's where we come from, that world of light. And this one is one of lotus I painted. So that's a symbol of being detached and loving. And some others here as well. This is like sunrise type of one. Yeah. And this is a room here, the office part. Yeah. And a little kitchen is here as well. So I do I prepare a lot of food here as well. So this house was built with a mud brick and stone, and it's built by this vastu as well. So east is the front door, west, north and south. It's like a cross shape. So that's based off of that. So here, the last 1 week, I've made this 84 kilos of fig jam. And all these drums here. This is a batch here, fig jam. And this I make here. And then I make bread for. This is I make traditional what they call sourdough bread. The sourdough bread is here. Oh. So this is I use this big oven here. This commercial oven. So I bake in there, I store it in here. And this is bread that's made without yeast. It's a traditional what they call sourdough bread.
Okay.
So it's made with this kamia fermentation, natural fermentation. Yeah, so this is, I call this the bush kitchen.
Okay. Anything else?
Thoda Hindi se called.
Thoda.
Thoda.
Okay.